Welcome back, guys, to Football Dynasties. I'm your host, Dell. This is going to be our Week 2 recap. We got a lot to get into, so let's dive in. All right, the headline for Week 2 is probably all the injuries to the big stars. Before we start getting into that, we're going to recap some of the games. Bills, Dolphins, let's just touch on that real quick. I know we talked about it already. Tua, there's an update. He was placed on IR. Hopefully going forward, he can get the best help and advice to whether or not he wants to continue playing. I'm hearing a lot of retirement talk, especially on social media. Obviously nothing from Tua's camp as of right now, except that he's going on IR. We hope Tua the best. First game we're going to get into, Chargers at the Panthers. The Chargers run game. If you have either the Gus Bus or J.K. Dobbins on your fantasy team, you're just probably going to keep starting them every week. It's gonna depend on the hot hand, obviously, from what we've seen. J.K. Dobbins is just getting those nice, explosive 30-plus yard rushes, which isn't going to last forever. The Gus Bus is still getting more carries. So I'm still pretty comfortable with saying either one, J.K. or Gus Edwards there. Just give him the nod. Quentin Johnston, breakout game, possibly. Not a whole lot there. I didn't see like explosive plays out of QJ there. He looked a lot better, but I'm definitely not going to say, hey, going forward, he's going to be the Chargers' number one target. I still believe it's Ladd McConkey. Ladd McConkey looked really good in that first game, a little bit quieter in the second game. But it looked like he'll be the number one, I'm pretty sure. Johnston, good game for him. Hopefully that kind of carries forward, especially for the Chargers. We need some receiving help there. So, I don't know. I'm just going to say breakout game. Probably not. The 2 touchdowns. I'm impressed, not impressed. All right, let's just move on. Raiders-Ravens. Raiders with a comeback. Devontae Adams, big second half. He was very quiet in that first half, but he ended the game with 9 receptions, 110 yards, and a touchdown to help the Raiders make a comeback there. Carlos, good job. You went all the way to Baltimore to watch this game. Good for you. You guys get to go home with the win. Brooke Bowers, what a beast. I took him number 1 overall in our rookie draft, but that's because I had the first 5 picks, so I can just take whoever I wanted. But, I mean, I said it all along from the beginning. I think this guy is going to be a beast. I mean, when he was in Georgia, he was just open. And he is just looking like he's going to be doing the same kind of damage in the NFL. I'm almost ready to call him a top 5 tight end. He's definitely, for fantasy purposes, he's a top 3 tight end right now. But if you have him, you hold on to him, and I'm saying just keep starting him. Just roll with it. He looks great, gets open. Gardner Minshew, believe it or not, is leading the league in completions. Yes, he is leading the league in completions, which is crazy. I think they'll continue to kind of do the same. Brooke Bowers, yep, keep him going. Browns, Jaguars. Deshaun looked a little bit better. He got himself a rushing touchdown. I'm probably more scared about Jerome Ford, honestly. Only 7 carries. That's not kind of what you want to see from the featured back. Deonta Foreman's already out-carried him in the first 2 games. I don't even think that's how you say it, but he's had more carries in the last 2 games than Jerome Ford, which is kind of scary, especially for fantasy, because going into the season, I thought for sure Jerome Ford would be the number 1. He still did quite well. 7 carries, 64 yards. That's not bad, but he's not getting the TD. And if Deontay Foreman is going to continue to keep getting more carries, they're probably going to give him more of the red zone carries, which will hurt Jerome Ford's fantasy value. So going forward, just keep a lookout for that. My favorite game of the weekend, and I only say that because it hurts my boy Phil to the core. Jets Titans. I think Callahan must hate Will Levis at this point. CBS caught him after that stumble, fumble, pass back, whatever he was trying to do there, and you can just see Callahan. You were reading his lips there, and he was saying, "What the F are you doing?" And Will Levis had no response except to take his helmet off, walk to the sidelines, sit down, get the surface out, try to look as to what happened, but that man's got no answer. I feel like it's back-to-back weeks that he's cost his team both wins. The Titans could easily be 2-0. The Jets offense, Braylon Allen looked really, really good. Youngest player in the NFL, 2 touchdowns. Breece Hall, though, 7 receptions. I mean, just keep giving it to him, Rodgers, because at this point, if you have Breece Hall, just on receptions alone, he doesn't even have to run the ball as much, and he's going to give us great fantasy output. Tony Pollard had a really, really good day. 17 carries, 62 yards. My sit for last week, Calvin Ridley, all of a sudden exploded there. 4 receptions, 77 yards, and a TD. So that was a bad pick on me. Bad play there. But aside from Brian Callahan cussing out Will Levis and telling him to sit down, that was my favorite game just because it was just pure comedy watching the coach just destroy his guy on live television at that point. Hopefully the Titans can bounce back. Sorry, Phil. Not sorry. 49ers Vikings. The upset of the week, maybe? No, because the Cowboys and the Saints play. We'll get to that game. Brock Purdy, 300 plus. Jordan Mason, another 100-yard game. The big loss, though, Debo out a few weeks. They're already without McCaffrey. Now Debo's going to miss a few weeks. So, Juwan Jennings wouldn't be a bad pickup if he's still available. Justin Jefferson went out a little bit, but they're saying he's day-to-day with that quad. But he had a monster game, 4 for 133 and a touchdown. This 49ers team, I think that window might be closed. Or this is it. This is going to be their last dance with this squad. Ayuk did not look good. So, I mean, it's starting to get pretty scary for the 49ers, losing on the road to Minnesota. I mean, they were favorites going into that game. And a lot of us, I don't think we would have picked the Vikings to win this game. So, pretty surprising there. But for fantasy purposes, Brock Purdy put up that big game. Mason with the 100 again. Big Jettas. Big game. Debo's out a few weeks. Let's move on. Saints Cowboys. Boy, oh boy. I don't think any of us saw a team going 6 for 6 for 6 touchdowns to start the game. I think they said that's like the first time in NFL history. I might be wrong. But Derek Carr, QB1 finish? Nah, I don't think so. We're not going to get ahead of ourselves. I mean, he is playing really well right now. Rashid Shaheed is coming out and just putting on a show the last couple of weeks. There was finally a Chris Olave sighting this week for all you Olave managers. You got to have... I'm not sure who you would play for the Saints. Kamara just seems to be the go-to. Derek Carr playing really well, like I said. But was it just one of those where, you start on the road or you start at home with Carolina? We saw that the Chargers took care of them real easily also in week 2. The Cowboys, maybe just a bad game defensively. I don't know. I don't know what to say or think of Derek Carr and the Saints just yet. We'll give them another week or so to see. Who are they playing next week? Let's see. They're at home against Philly. That might maybe give us a little bit better of an idea of as to who they are going forward. But I mean, even Philly's secondary has been struggling the first 2 weeks, so maybe the Saints just kind of continue to do what they do. All right, guys, Giants, Commanders. The Giants are the first team in NFL history to score 3 touchdowns and not give up a touchdown and still lose the game. Only the Giants. Only the Giants. But on the bright side, my boy Malik Neighbors, 18 targets. I mean, if Daniel Jones is going to do that every week, you're looking at the wide receiver one. 10 receptions, 127. He finally got his touchdown. I mean, I honestly, at the beginning of the season, I thought Malik Neighbors would have a better fantasy year than Marvin Harrison. We know that Marvin Harrison going forward is everything you want in a receiver. But I just figured that the Giants have no one after letting Saquon go. So Malik Neighbors is definitely benefiting from that. He's the only weapon that they really have. Daniel Jones showing a little bit of movement at the beginning of the game. Had a couple nice little runs on some quarterback draws. Devin Singletary, great fantasy week. Pretty sure he hit 100. He hit 100? It's looking like... no, just shy, 95. But he got the touchdown. Daniel Jones, 2 touchdowns, no picks, which is the important thing. So, I mean, now I feel very confident going forward that I can just start Daniel Jones and Malik Neighbors if you have them. I have them. I don't have any other quarterbacks at this point. Caleb Williams is my other quarterback, and that's just not working right now. We'll talk about those guys later. But yeah, Giants, Commanders, Jaden Daniels, another solid day for fantasy purposes. I think he had like 290 total yards, no touchdowns, but still a decent day for fantasy. Brian Robinson went off 130 plus. Zach Ertz is the guy I wanted to talk about because we all know Malik Neighbors' game. Zach Ertz, if he's available in your league, you should pick him up. As I've watched the first 2 Washington games, because my boy Jaden Daniels is on there, he's looking for Ertz, man. That guy is still getting open. He's still catching. His hands are still there. He might not be the fastest guy, but the first few games he's been targeted 6 times in the first game, 7 in the second game. So Jaden is looking for him. And it's only a matter of time before Zach gets in the end zone. And if he can give us 50 yards and a touchdown at the tight end position, that's amazing. So Zach Ertz, he's one of those guys that if he's not on your roster and you have a deep bench, go pick him up. Bucks, Lions. Oh, Baker. If the Panthers would have kept you, who knows what could have been with that team. Chris Godwin, huge game. Finally. I think at some point he'll definitely get the torch handed from Mike Evans, but right now they're kind of going back and forth. In the first game, Evans out-targeted Godwin by about 4 or 5. And in this game, it was the opposite. Godwin out-targeted Mike Evans by 5. So it's looking like Baker's he's just distributing the ball to whoever is open. He's not trying to go one way or the other. Godwin's being lined up in the slot a lot. So we really like that. We all seen the NFL kind of is changing a little bit more, a lot more motion, a lot more slot guys. That's how Malik was targeted a lot. Also, they were using him in the slot quite a bit in the Giants-Commanders game. Godwin being moved around in the slot, so that's really good for us going forward if you're a Godwin manager. Mike Evans is still going to have solid games, though, so I wouldn't worry too much. The way Baker's playing right now, I think he can support 2 top 30 receivers. That's what it's looking like right now. The Lions, yes, Amon-Ra finally had a good game after being quiet in the first game. It's only week 2, right? And we're over here overreacting about finally having a good game. St. Brown finally had a game in week 2. And Sam Laporta has been the quiet week 1, week 2 guy. He's not getting targeted as much as you would want. Super quiet game. 2 catches, 13 yards, not a whole lot there. So if you wasted your draft capital on Laporta in the first 2 or 3 rounds, he's definitely not paying off at the moment. But we'll give it time. The Lions, Goff still had 300 plus. So we know that they're going to put up numbers. It's just a matter of time. Rams, Cardinals. Boy, oh boy. Marvin Harrison Jr., I thought was going to have 200 plus and like 3 or 4 TDs. And he had 4 catches for 130 and 2 TDs in 1 quarter. And that was it. I think the Rams said enough is enough. Marvin Harrison Jr. is the real deal. Dude stretched out from the 5-yard line and got that touchdown in. I mean, this guy is a monster. Kyler, probably the best game we've seen from him as a pro. Moved around in that pocket. They just couldn't catch him. They couldn't get him down. The Rams, though, in week 1, they showed signs that they would have a solid team. But injuries, man. Injuries are just killing the Rams right now. Puka, IR. Sorry. Puka on IR. Cooper Kupp going to IR. They've lost 4 starting offensive linemen from that week 1 game already. Matt Stafford might need to just Jimmy G's back, guys. Jimmy G's back from his suspension. So Stafford might want to take a couple weeks off until his team gets healthy and just let Jimmy G take that brunt, because I'm telling you, that offensive line looks so bad. I mean, for fantasy purposes, Kyron, I think, was the only one worth really having, and that's only because he scored a touchdown. Because without that touchdown, we're looking at 25 yards, and that's about it. So I'm a little nervous right now for the Rams. Blake Corum came in. He didn't look like he was going to do anything. Demarcus Robinson is probably your best option there. If you want to pick up somebody, if you need someone, if you need a receiver, he might be the go-to guy. Tutu Atwell, he doesn't get talked about a lot, but when he's in, Stafford looks for him. Again, I'm just scared that Stafford's really not going to have much time to throw. So if anything of value is going to come out, I guess I would say Kyron. He still had 4 receptions in the game. So I think it's just going to be hit and miss with Rams players. I probably, going forward until Puka, or if you have Cooper, I'm probably not going to start him. I mean, Kyron, you have to start, but it's definitely going to be scary every time going into it week to week. Steelers, Broncos, the only thing I got to say about that game is, for fantasy purposes, we got nothing really. I mean, George Pickens looked good. There's a couple plays that got called back, or else he would have had a big game. But aside from that, I mean, Justin Fields not turning the ball over. That's what Mike Tomlin wants. If it's a 13-10 game, 13-6, 14-10, it does not matter. As long as they get the win, that is all Mike Tomlin cares about. At the beginning of the year, I said they're finally going to have their first losing season. It is not looking that way. It's looking like Mike Tomlin is going to pull out the magic again. I think they are in first place of their division. Let me see. Yeah, they're 2-0. One of the undefeated, 1, 2, 3, 4, How many undefeated teams we got left? 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7. 7 undefeated teams left. And after 2 weeks, I wouldn't have thought it was Pittsburgh. But here we are. They're sitting in first. The Ravens and the Bengals 0-2. So I'm probably going to say after 2 weeks, I'm probably totally wrong on that. The Steelers are probably going to make the playoffs. They're definitely going to be above 500, so he'll have another winning season. But plenty of football left. Anything can happen. Bengals Chiefs. That's probably the biggest injury of the week. Isaiah Pacheco will miss 6 to 8 weeks. If you own Isaiah Pacheco, if you listen to our waiver wire podcast from yesterday, I liked Samaje Perine, Carson Steele. Didn't like him very much going forward. I just see Perine, since he's a better pass catcher out of the backfield. I think the Chiefs are just going to have to throw the ball a lot more. I mean, they were running it a lot with Pacheco in there, but they might have to change that up going forward. Joe Burrow finally looked good for fantasy. A lot of targets to the tight ends, though. That was surprising. Gesicki and Eric All had solid games at the tight end position. So it's just one game, but a lot of targets to the tight end, which is what kind of stood out. Sorry, guys. Stood out to me. Jamar Chase had a little blow up there at the end of the game with Joe Burrow. I haven't really been able to find much on what the whole spat was about. I know something about the flag that was thrown, but there's a few videos going around on X and social media platforms that Joe Burrow and Chase kind of were throwing hands at each other. It was kind of funny. Rashee Rice, another big fantasy game for Rashee Rice, another 15 plus points in back-to-back weeks. So as of right now, we're going to keep riding with him. Travis Kelce, though, I don't know if it's time to hit the panic button yet. And the reason why I say that is because I think they're just saving him, honestly. I think he's going to be one of those guys that come week 10, 11, 12, they'll ramp it up, get ready for the playoffs type of thing. I don't think they'll give him much run in the first couple months of the season, which kind of works well if you're a Travis Kelce owner, because, you know, fantasy football playoffs are usually weeks 15 through 17, and that's usually when they start to ramp this dude up. So I wouldn't panic just yet. I would maybe give it a couple more weeks before you give up on the guy. And especially with Pacheco out, I think he'll be more involved in the offense going forward. They're going to have to get him involved because Pacheco was a big part of that offense. So we'll see going forward, but Travis Kelce, don't hit the panic button just yet. All right, guys, last game we're going to cover Bears-Texans. Man, Caleb Williams is just not... I'm going to say this. Caleb Williams, rookie struggles. I picked the Bears to make the playoffs. When you start out 0-2, it's a tough road going forward of making that comeback. Oh, actually, no, they're 1-1. Sorry, they won that first game. That's even better. At 1-1, your odds increase of making the playoffs. But Caleb, rookie struggles. I guess we can call it rookie struggles. But I just think he's trying too hard, man. He's kind of like Will Levis, man. Just let it go. Let the play die. Throw it out of bounds. Take the sack. It is what it is. Live to fight another down. But Caleb is definitely going through that rookie struggles where he's just either not seeing the read. He's definitely, I wouldn't say he's the first read, because the first 2 games I've watched so far, he goes through his progressions, but he just doesn't go. He just doesn't let it go. It's like you see a guy take the check down if he's open, just take it. You don't need to move on to the second guy and try to make the big play. You know, He's got to learn to just kind of pick your poison. Just drop off to your halfback there if he's wide open. If your tight end is sitting there in that zone, just hit him. And it's showing the frustrations with this team because DJ Moore, I mean, he was frustrated, man, at the end of that game. You can just tell on that last drive, just that the body language and everything. They're getting antsy there in Chicago. But it's only been 2 weeks. You're 1-1. I have a feeling that it's going to turn around, and they're going to get better for sure. They have to, because I wasted a lot of draft capital in my dynasty taking Caleb instead of Jaden Daniels. Yeah, I passed on Jaden Daniels. Disgusted so far. But it's only 2 weeks. I'm not going to panic just yet. On the Texans side, Nico Collins, big game. We love to see that. Stephon Diggs, I think I was right on the whole Diggs thing. I think he's just going to be a nice complimentary piece. He might sneak in a touchdown here and there. But for right now, Diggs, he's definitely going to be sitting on my bench going forward. I don't really see why we wouldn't start him. Tank's been kind of quiet, but I think that's just because they're doubling the inside there with Tank and trying to take those guys away. So maybe Diggs benefits going forward. But, the first 2 games, I think total for the first 2 games is like 79 yards total for his first 2 games. So nothing crazy, nothing big. The injury of the game, Joe Mixon, man, that was kind of nasty little tackle there. Got his ankle wrapped up under the defender. But now that the week has gone through, he was limited at practice. But they're saying it's not serious. So that's the good news. But if I were a fantasy manager, which I am, and I've already done, I just picked up Cam Akers. I didn't even have to put any bids out for him. He was still there. Not a lot of people are getting him. But if you have a deep bench, go get yourself Cam Akers. He might only help you for a few weeks, but if you're in dire need help of running backs, that might be the way to go. All right, guys. Week 3, Thursday night football. Patriots at the Jets. The Jets, Vegas has them at -7. The over-under is 40.5. I'm not touching that I'm not touching the Jets -7. I think this is going to be a lot closer than people think. The Patriots have actually, especially on defense, have looked really good. The offense still struggling a little bit, but I think if they can run the ball and control the clock just a little bit, they'll give the Jets a run for their money. But I still think the Jets are going to win. Close game, 21-17. We're going to go Brees, 1 TD, Garrett Wilson with a touchdown. And on New England side, let's go with Ramondre for sure. Anytime touchdown there. So I'm going to parlay that. Brees anytime touchdown, Garrett Wilson anytime touchdown, Ramondre Stevenson anytime touchdown. Again, guys, thank you for listening. Please like, subscribe, follow, share with your friends. All the support, thank you very much. Any feedback in the comments, all welcome. And we'll see you guys for the waiver wire week 3.